The WNBA has no idea what it's doing with Caitlin Clark. Can we all agree on that?
Can you believe it? Caitlin Clark's new boss just made a shocking move, and fans are absolutely losing their minds.
It's a hostile league to Caitlin Clark. It's a hostile league to heterosexual women.
This is something nobody saw coming, and it's bound to shake things up in the WNBA and beyond. But what exactly is going on behind the scenes? What does this mean for Clark's future? And why is everyone talking about it? Stick around, because we're about to break down everything you need to know about this bizarre situation. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second of this.
You know, we're going to work at making sure that we capture all the opportunities to make sure these fans are important to us, that we want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever.
Now, let's rewind for a moment. Caitlin Clark has been the shining star of the WNBA, even though the league has struggled to figure out how to maximize her potential. She's been a game changer since day one, but the WNBA hasn't exactly done her any favors. For starters, there have been complaints about how poorly they've managed to protect her on the court. Clark has faced an overwhelming amount of physical play, and many fans believe that the referees are letting too much slide. She's been getting knocked around, elbowed, shoved, you name it. And what has the league done about it? Not much. You'd think they'd go out of their way to protect their biggest asset, but it's been the complete opposite.
You know, we're going to work at it. We understand. I've been through this, you know, not to this level, but we've had points where, incremental points where we've had, you know, the tide lift a little bit and then go back down.
Clark herself has spoken out about the issues she's faced, saying that she feels like she's been hammered out there, with no consequences for those who rough her up. The league has turned a blind eye, and it's clear that this is one of the reasons why her new boss is stepping in to make major changes. What's even more telling is how this situation is a reflection of how the WNBA has failed to capitalize on Caitlin's star power. Here we have one of the most marketable athletes in the league, and yet she's being treated like just another player. But that's all about to change. Caitlin's new boss at the Indiana Fever, Amber Cox, isn't messing around. She sees Caitlin for what she truly is, a generational talent. And she's ready to shake things up in a way that no one anticipated. You might be wondering, what exactly is Amber doing that's causing such a stir? Well, it starts with her vision for the future of the team, and how Caitlin Clark is going to be at the very center of it all. Amber Cox has been making bold moves behind the scenes, and she's already been clear about one thing. The Fever is going all in on Caitlin Clark. She's not just a player to them, she's the cornerstone of their future success, and this means building an entire team around her. The WNBA has long struggled with creating dynasties or building teams that can compete year after year, but Cox is looking to change that. She's not content with simply having Caitlin as the face of the franchise. She wants to surround her with the best talent, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Amber Cox is a seasoned executive who knows what it takes to turn a team around. She's done it before, and she's looking to do it again with the Fever. But this isn't just about bringing in a few new players. Cox is looking to completely revamp the way the Fever approach the game. She wants to change the culture, the mindset, and the expectations. This is about more than just winning games. It's about creating a legacy, and Caitlin Clark is going to be at the heart of it. But with all these changes comes a lot of pressure. Caitlin is already carrying the weight of the franchise on her shoulders, and now she's going to be expected to lead them to glory. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the question on everyone's mind is, can she handle it? Sure, Caitlin has proven herself on the court time and time again, but this is a whole new level. She's not just playing for wins anymore. She's playing to build a dynasty. Cox isn't just focusing on the basketball side of things either. She's also looking at how to market Caitlin and the team. The Fever are on the rise, and with the right marketing, they could become one of the most talked about teams in the WNBA. We've already seen how Caitlin's games have drawn massive crowds, and now Cox wants to take that to the next level. She's looking at new sponsorship deals, partnerships, and ways to grow the Fever's brand. The potential here is enormous, and it's clear that the Fever are positioning themselves to be the next big thing in women's sports. But here's the twist! Amber Cox isn't just making these moves for the sake of the Fever. She's doing it because she knows that Caitlin Clark's time in the WNBA could be limited. There's already been talk of Caitlin possibly looking overseas for better opportunities, and Cox wants to make sure that doesn't happen. She's pulling out all the stops to keep Caitlin happy and committed to the Fever for the long haul. This means not only giving her the tools she needs to succeed on the court, but also making sure she's supported off the court. Caitlin has had her fair share of struggles in the WNBA, and there's no denying that the league hasn't always treated her like the superstar she is. But with Amber Cox in charge, that's about to change. The Fever are putting everything on the line to ensure that Caitlin becomes the face of the league, and they're doing everything they can to make her the most marketable athlete in the game. From new endorsement deals to expanded media coverage, Cox is making sure that Caitlin is front and center in everything the Fever do. And the fans? Well, they're absolutely loving it. Fever fans are more excited than ever about the direction the team is heading in. They know that Caitlin is special, and they're thrilled to see the team finally taking the steps necessary to build around her. But with this excitement also comes a sense of urgency. The Fever can't afford to mess this up. If they don't deliver on the promises being made, they could lose Caitlin to another team, or, worse, another league. This brings us to the bigger picture. The WNBA is in a tough spot right now. They have a star in Caitlin Clark, but they haven't figured out how to properly market her or protect her on the court. Amber Cox's moves with the Fever could be the catalyst for change, not just for the team, but for the entire league. If the Fever succeed in building a championship-caliber team around Caitlin, it could force the WNBA to rethink its approach to how it handles its top players. But there's also a lot of risk involved. What if the Fever don't live up to the hype? What if the pieces don't come together the way Cox hopes they will? There's so much riding on the success of this new strategy, and if it doesn't work out, it could be a massive setback for both Caitlin and the team. The pressure is mounting, and the stakes are higher than ever. As we look ahead to the next season, all eyes are on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Will they rise to the occasion and become the dominant force Amber Cox envisions? Or will the weight of expectations prove to be too much? One thing's for sure, this is a story that's far from over. Caitlin Clark's future with the Indiana Fever, and by extension the WNBA, is at a critical juncture. Amber Cox, the new boss pulling the strings, has laid out a bold plan, and now the big question is, can she deliver? The stakes are incredibly high, not just for the Fever, but for the entire league. Caitlin Clark has been hailed as a once-in-a-generation talent, and her presence on the court has shifted the dynamics of the WNBA in a way that no one anticipated. But with all the moves Cox is making, will it be enough to keep Clark satisfied and locked in for the long haul? Let's take a closer look at the fever brewing among the fans. They're excited, sure, but also nervous. Caitlin's fans aren't just casual observers. They're die-hard supporters who have followed her every move from her college days, and they know the kind of impact she can have. They also know that if the Fever fumble this opportunity, Caitlin might start looking for greener pastures, whether that means going overseas or even switching leagues. And if that happens, it could send shockwaves through the WNBA. Caitlin's not the kind of player who will sit idly by while her potential is wasted. She's hungry for success, and her competitive drive is undeniable. That's why Amber Cox's latest moves are so crucial. Cox has made it clear that she sees Caitlin as the franchise cornerstone, and she's building a team around her with the intention of creating a dynasty. But dynasties aren't built overnight, and they certainly aren't built without the right pieces in place. So, what exactly is Cox doing to make sure Caitlin stays? First, she's focusing on recruitment. The Fever need more than just Caitlin to contend with the top teams in the league. They need experience, talent, and leadership. Players who can complement Caitlin's skill set and help elevate the team to new heights. But this isn't just about bringing in any veteran talent. Cox is being strategic, targeting players who fit the Fever style of play and who will mesh well with Caitlin's game. It's a delicate balance, but if she gets it right, the Fever could be unstoppable. Then there's the issue of coaching. The relationship between a star player and their coach is one of the most important dynamics in any sport. Caitlin needs a coach who understands her strengths, challenges her weaknesses, and knows how to put her in the best possible position to succeed. Cox is fully aware of this, and she's already making moves behind the scenes to ensure that Caitlin has the support she needs from the coaching staff. It's not just about X's and O's, it's about building a culture of winning, and that starts with leadership. Of course, all of this isn't happening in a vacuum. The rest of the league is watching closely. Other teams are undoubtedly preparing to make a run at Caitlin if they sense any discontent. The Fever's success in keeping her happy and engaged will have a ripple effect across the WNBA. If they succeed, it could set a new standard for how teams build around their stars. If they fail, it could lead to an exodus of talent that the league simply can't afford. And let's not forget about the fans. Caitlin has one of the most passionate fan bases in the WNBA, and they're not shy about voicing their opinions. They want to see their star player succeed, and they want to see the Fever make good on their promises. But fan support can be a double-edged sword. If the Fever falter, the backlash could be swift and unforgiving. Caitlin's fans have high expectations, and they won't hesitate to express their frustration if things don't go according to plan. Now, let's talk about Caitlin herself. She's been relatively quiet about all the noise surrounding her future, focusing instead on her performance on the court. But make no mistake, she knows exactly what's going on. She's fully aware of the expectations placed on her, and she's equally aware of the power she holds. Caitlin is in a unique position where she can essentially dictate the terms of her career. She's not just a player, she's a brand, and she has the leverage to shape her own destiny. But with great power comes great responsibility. Caitlin knows that her decision will have far-reaching consequences, not just for her, but for the entire WNBA. If she stays with the Fever and they build a winning team around her, she could cement her legacy as one of the greatest players in league history. But if she decides to leave, it could trigger a domino effect that would change the landscape of the league forever. This brings us to an even bigger question. What does Caitlin want? Is she satisfied with where she is? Or is she looking for something more? The Fever are doing everything in their power to keep her happy, but is that enough? Caitlin has always been driven by a desire to win, and if she doesn't see a clear path to a championship with the Fever, she may start exploring other options. It's a delicate situation, and one that will require careful navigation by everyone involved. Amber Cox is well aware of this, and she's doing everything she can to reassure Caitlin that the Fever are committed to winning. But actions speak louder than words, and Caitlin will be watching closely to see if the team follows through on their promises. The next few months will be critical in determining the future of Caitlin's career, and the Fever's ability to rise to the occasion will make all the difference. As we look ahead, one thing is clear: the WNBA is at a crossroads. Caitlin Clark has the potential to be the face of the league for years to come, but only if the league can figure out how to properly market and protect her. The Indiana Fever have made their move, but now it's up to the rest of the league to step up and recognize the value that Caitlin brings to the table. The Fever are building something special, and Caitlin is at the center of it all. But with so much at stake, there's no room for error. The pressure is on, and the clock is ticking. Can the Fever deliver, or will Caitlin's time in Indiana be shorter than anyone expected? As the dust settles, we'll be watching closely to see how this all plays out. Caitlin's new boss has made a bold move, but the real test is yet to come. Will it be enough to keep Caitlin Clark in Indiana? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end?